Hey, what's going on, guys? Alright, today we'll be talking about supply and demand. Oh my gosh, everybody freaks out about this when they take economics. It's really not that bad. I'm going to explain this in a way to where you're going to be thinking, wow, how did I think, supply and demand was hard until I watched this video? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay, so to make things easy, we're going to be talking about supply and demand on video games. Okay? So we could do Xbox 360 games, we could do PS3 games, just games, any game in general. Okay, so let's see. You have a graph. You've got these two lines. You got all this crap. These numbers here, numbers there. What does all this mean? Oh my gosh! Explain this to me. Okay, you need to know some basic concepts first. On the vertical axis is going to be price, which means down here is the lowest price, and as we go up, it's going to be the higher price. And that's for each video game. It's going to be the price. Now, on the horizontal axis, this is where a lot of people get confused. This is the quantity for each video game. Now, this is the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded, depending which line you're looking at. Because if you're looking at this supply line and you look at the quantity, that's going to be quantity supplied. If you're looking at the demand line and you're trying to figure out, what the price is, this is going to be the quantity demanded. So basically, this is going to be the price on the vertical, and this is going to be the quantity supplied or the quantity demanded of video games. Now, it may sound a little confusing, but I'm going to explain this in a way to where you're going to be like, whoa, this is easy. Okay, so we said we were going to do video games, right? So let's do video games. Okay, so let's start out with the demand curve. Demand's, a little bit easier, so I'm going to explain demand to you in the simplest way I can possibly think of. Okay, so let's start, say, $70. Say each video game that you want to buy, say each game is $70. Are you going to want to buy a game that is $70? So, okay, imagine this. Say you go to Best Buy and you're looking for, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, the new sensation, the awesome game, and say they want to charge $70 for it, and you're like, that's a little expensive, So because of that, what we just said, that means the quantity demanded is going to be very low. Now if we go vice versa and we go to $5, say Call of Duty 4, say it was only $5. Imagine that. Everyone would want it, right? The demand would be really high. So I feel safe to say that the higher the price, the less the demand, or the lower the price, the greater the quantity demanded. So that's basically what demand is. Now, on the other side, supply is similar to demand. It's a little bit different, though. Demand was modeling consumers, modeling what you guys want. This is all, basically the demand was how much quantity you guys would want to buy at different prices. At $70, you won't want that much. At $5, you would want a ton of that. So that's what the demand curve model. The supply curve is going to be modeling the manufacturer, how much they're going to supply you at different prices. At $5, they only want to supply you about 15. At $30, to supply you about 30, and $70 to supply you about 40. This is all made up data, by the way. So basically, that means the higher the price, the more they're going to supply you. Video games. The quantity supplied as the price goes up on games is going to be higher, because think about it. If they're going to charge more for each video game, they're going to make a lot more, because the more that they sell, the more money they make. So they have more incentive to supply more. So now that you understand what what the supply curve and what the demand curve are, I can give you some real world examples, show you some cool stuff. But just remember, the demand curve is for the consumers, and as the price increases, the quantity will decrease, and for supply, as the price increases, the quantity supplied increases. So the supply is a direct relationship with price, and the demand is an inverse relationship with price. So know that. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, you can email me. Whatever. It's pretty simple. I think it's pretty simple. But all right, let's go over. There's two things that can happen in the market. There's what's called a surplus, and there's what's called a shortage. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of these. I'm sure a lot of you haven't heard of these, but let me start out with the surplus. Okay, a surplus is usually, let's see, hold on 1 second. Surplus. A surplus basically means that the quantity supplied is going to be greater than the quantity demanded, which means, okay, say, let's see, easiest way to explain this to you guys. Okay, let's say the price is going to be $70. So say for each video game, they're going to say, hey, we want to charge you $70. So if you look at $70, the demand on the demand curve at $70, the demand is going to be really low. But when you look at the supply curve at $70, the quantity supplied is going to be much higher. So basically, that means that the manufacturers are going to be making all these games because they want to make more money. They're going to make more games at $70, but we're not going to want any. So do you see what I'm saying? If we don't want these games at $70, but they're making a whole crap load because they want to make money, there's going to be what's called a surplus, which means there's more video games, that are going to be on the shelf that aren't going to be sold because our demand for them is very low. We don't want that many at that price. So that's what's called a surplus. That means the quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded. So that's the surplus. Now there's another thing that can happen down here, which is called a shortage. Now a shortage is just the opposite. We said the quantity supplied was greater than the quantity demanded on the surplus. This is when the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. So think about this. If it's at $5, everybody wants it, right? So the demand at $5. So if you go to Best Buy, you look at your game, it's only $5. Everybody wants the game, Everyone's going to be buying it. But at $5, the manufacturers, they aren't going to be supplying Best Buy with that many games because they have no incentive to make money because it's only worth $5. So there's not going to be anything left on the shelf. So there's going to be a shortage of the difference between these 2 points. Or that's how you calculate what the shortage would be. The demand minus the supply. This minus this. Whatever the distance in here is, that'll be the surplus. This would be the shortage. So you can calculate each one of those. So that's different things that happen in the market right there for you. So that's a basic breakdown. And this big E, that's the equilibrium. That means that the supply is equal to the demand. And that's usually what they set the price at. That's called the equilibrium price. And they cross, they meet, they're equal. There's no shortage, there's no surplus. But see, what happens if there is a surplus, it's called downward pressure on the price, which means remember the surplus meant that the price was really high and we didn't want that many, but they're going to be making a whole ton. They're going to have to decrease the price and try to get back to equilibrium so that more people will be buying them, and because you want it to be right here because that's perfect. That's the perfect point. That means a good amount of games are going to be made, and the price is okay, so people are demanding the same amount as supply. That's where you want to be. So vice versa, if it's a shortage, they're going to increase the price. That way, the demand won't be so high, and then they're going to actually supply more at that price. So does that make sense? They're going to want to go up from here, go down from there. That's only in the instance of a surplus or a shortage. So that's kind of how that works. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to email me or whatever. Y'all have a good day.